Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I have a very special interview today. I'm going to be interviewing Rose. She only wants me to use her first name, and she is in England. She's lived in England all her life, I believe. And she has a lot of insight as to the child sex trafficking that is going on in the UK right now. I actually do have another friend who, her name is Angela. Angela Disney Powers or Power Disney. I can't remember which order it is. She's on my Zoom prayer meeting, and that she comes on every night, and I'll be interviewing her on Sunday. But I wanted to interview Rose first, not only because her schedule allowed it, but she has quite a bit of insight on Theresa May, what she's connected with and involved with in England as regards to pedophilia, child sex trafficking, also her family, both her husband and father, and just a bunch of victims. She's going to be talking about one victim in particular, Melanie Shaw, as well as others. So I'm just going to open this up and allow Rose to sort of just share her background and how she got all involved with this, and then we'll go from there in terms of questioning. So Rose, thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So why don't you just go ahead and get started on just introducing who you are, and maybe how long you've lived in England. I think you've always lived there, and just kind of how you got involved in all this.
Yeah, sorry. I'm born and bred in England. My family goes back many generations. My surname is actually one of the first recorded surnames when the tax came in. So yeah, I've got a long family history, a long family line in Britain. I started getting into the paedophilia mainly because of my politics, and we are having a terrible time in England with the grooming gangs. I was not a victim, but I was a near victim to the grooming gangs that are going on with the Pakistani Muslims. I had a £500 price on my head when I was 17. A girl from college invited me out for the night. She was a bit older. I was going behind my parents' back thinking, I feel really grown up going to a pub. And I slept over at her house, and when I woke up in the morning, she'd left, and I had a wander around, and it was a bachelor pad, and I panicked. I looked for a letter. I rang my local taxi firm, and they found me. And as I was leaving, there was a group of Pakistani men coming into the door, and I'd literally just got into the taxi. And then later on, I found out through friends that this girl that had set me up, it was for £500, and she was going to sell me into this sex trafficking ring with the Pakistani Muslims. So I sort of have been following that. That was in the 90s. So I've been following a lot of it. And I think I did get sort of stuck on the paradigm of the narrative that it was mainly just Muslims that are doing it, until someone brought to my attention there are more. It doesn't start from the Muslims. It literally goes from them right to the top. Goes to the care homes, because they're picking children up at the care homes. From the care homes, the courts are covering it up. The judges are covering it up. The police are covering it up. And there's a lot of Freemasonry in the police and the judicial system that are covering up, but not just the Muslim gangs. They are covering up the high people. And when I actually realised that it wasn't an isolated network from one religion, it just sort of continued from there. I looked further into it, and when I touched on the children's homes, it just blew everything open, and I just started looking for victims, just to hear their story. And I've been on Twitter now not so long, but I've got a lot of people, a lot of friends, I call them, who have been through some most traumatic things. And I feel because I escaped, my prayers were answered when that taxi driver turned up. And thinking about what I escaped, empowered me to actually reach out to victims to hear their story, because I felt so blessed and lucky, and I want to help other victims being able to come out. I just feel like I was blessed and they wasn't, you know, they wasn't saved, and I just feel it's a Christian duty to actually reach out to these people. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Came from the care homes and then it went up and up and up. There's a lot of things on YouTube, on my YouTube channel as well. I've got extensive playlists with all different politicians. And it goes right to the establishment. It goes to royalty. It's what's stopping Brexit. I'll go on about Brexit in a minute. It's a big thing that's happening in our country. It's quite well known in America as well, what we're going through with the divorce of the European Union. Establishment paedophilia, how we ended up in going into the EU was because Edward Heath, an ex-Prime Minister, was a notorious paedophile. He's been linked to nearly 1,500 cases of lines of inquiries under Operation Conifer. Now, the German DVD, which is their intelligence agency, they were blackmailing Heath to enter the European Union in the first place. So that's how we got brought in. It was blackmail then, and it's blackmail now. We've got pedophiles going through our royal system. Prince Andrew's linked to Epstein, Jimmy Savile, all the big names. Everybody knew about Jimmy Savile, and they only got to find out when he died. It literally, if he would have been exposed, he would have exposed the royal family. He would have exposed the Parliament, the Lords, the House of Lords, everybody. Now, what's happening now? It happened then, it's happening now. We have got paedophiles in the royal family. We have got paedophiles in the Lords, the House of Lords, and we've got paedophiles in Parliament. I could point out 20 politicians in the House, at 10 Downing Street, at Westminster, that are alive today, that Melanie Shaw has named herself, that are being covered. The blackmail is the German DVD. They've not only just done it with our politicians, but they're notorious for doing it, and they start at Oxford. They bring their young spies into Oxford, mingle with these people, the rich aristocracy children, and they set them up with children. There's a lot of initiations that go on, bestiality that goes on in Oxford and Cambridge and all the other universities. The politicians now are being blackmailed, and that's why there's not going to be a Brexit. If there was a Brexit, all this information would be released. And I know Donald Trump knows a lot about our establishment paedophiles. I'm sure he does. He knows. I'm sure the Russians know. It's all a big secret, and I really do wish Britain would wake up, because if this information would come, the government would fall and the monarchy would fall as well. This is how some people are saying, is Theresa May being treasonous, is she being treacherous to going against the UK vote? But is she actually trying to save the country from falling? Because basically that's what would happen. Brexit happened, the establishment would fall. There would be absolute chaos and anarchy. And I couldn't see, it runs through both the Labour Party with Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn knows about the paedophiles that in his constituency, and he has known since the 80s. He won't save us. A lot of people think that Jeremy Corbyn will save this country. He won't. He really won't. Jeffrey Dickens, a well-known MP, and he released a dossier of Westminster paedophiles. That dossier went missing. He handed it to a paedophile he didn't realise was one. And Jeffrey Dickens in Parliament, you can see him, you can go on YouTube, find it. Geoffrey Dickens versus Jeremy Corbyn in Parliament. Jeremy Corbyn lambasted Dickens for sticking his nose in his constituency. He knew there was child rapes, trafficking, all sorts going on in Islington in London. He did nothing. And he's been put up on a pedestal by the British people that he's going to save the country. They don't care if the monarchy falls. They don't care if the Conservatives fall. But this guy is just as bad as they are.
Okay.
So it's quite deep.
Yeah, no, that's very, very good introduction. So I would like to say, just to sort of balance out what you're saying, and I totally agree with a lot of your assessment, but I will say that I just recently, and I can't reveal the source, but Theresa May, who of course is also a pedophile and pedophile protector, she's on her way out. We have to understand that Yahweh, Yahshua of Nazareth, he has this overarching plan that no one can come against. And Yah's using Donald Trump. You're exactly right. He knows a lot about the pedophilia going on in the UK. And yes, if you looked at this from the natural perspective, you would think, well, if we bring down these pedophiles and Brexit happens, then it'll just be mass confusion. But I'm here to tell you that actually there is a plan in place to not only bring down these pedophiles and not only accomplish Brexit, but to prevent this utter pandemonium and chaos from occurring when it happens. And the way it's going to happen in the United States, it's going to be a little bit different than in the UK because of the differences in our countries. But Donald Trump is working with both Putin and even the president of China, the three of them, orchestrating things to make sure that when these satanic pedophiles come into get taken down and exposed, there's going to be people who are going to be able to move into their positions that will be actually people that are duly elected, but are also not associated with these satanic pedophiles. And it's a lot of I don't want to go into that because it'll take us off the main point of our interview, but just to give you personally some hope, we just got to keep praying, fasting, pressing in and praying for our the leaders that we know are not pedophiles, because just like in the United States, or just like in England, like what you're saying, in the United States, the pedophiles are on both sides of the political aisle. They're on Republicans and Democrats, and that's why so many both Republicans and Democrats hate Trump, because you can't pigeonhole him into either one of the main political parties. I want to ask you, and thank you for your introduction. I want to ask you, a lot of my audience may not be familiar with that term you used at the very beginning of the grooming. The grooming. Can you just define that a little bit more, just for my audience?
I think it's basically, they call grooming gangs, and I think it's basically to soften the term. They are Muslim rape squads. I call a spade a spade. It is a rape squad. And obviously, coming from the land of manners, they thought putting maybe grooming on it maybe just sort of be a bit more polite term. They are majority from the Muslim faith. Of course, we have white paedophiles in this country. Of course we do. We are a 95% white country. So obviously, per capita, there are going to be more white pedophiles. Absolutely. The Muslim gang rapes are human trafficking, drug trafficking. They are taking children from care homes. They are targeting, it's people's assessment of this is that it's targeting just working class kids, single moms, and broken families. These children aren't being looked after. I mean, when I wasn't even groomed, I'm actually from a very well-to-do middle-class family. It's absolute nonsense that this is it's hitting the poorer communities in England. It's happening everywhere in every establishment with these Muslims. I can go into a bit more detail, but with their scripture and their beliefs, it's not all Muslims. It is the behaviour of the Pakistani Muslims, majority. In majority, it is. There is a lot to do. You can link it to the faith, like ISIS. You can link it to the faith. Not all Muslims are like that, and I think the Muslim voice could be a bit louder in this country to stand up and take on their own community. That would help.
The problem with Islam is that the whole religion was started by a pedophile.
Exactly.
Muhammad was a pedophile. So, it's not surprising that a lot of the pedophiles and satanic pedophilia going on in England would come from Muslims, because their religion is based off a man who was a pedophile. And then also the second point, which you bring up, which I think is really good to balance this out, is that, because I get this too. Some people say, well, the satanic pedophiles are only the Jews. No, the satanic pedophiles come from every race, every religion, every creed. They're all over the place. Fiona Barnett really makes a good point of this, of saying how, we don't identify them as a certain group or people. They're satanic pedophiles, and they're all through society, and they're in every level. They do come from Talmudic Jews, because the Talmud does teach pedophilia too, just like Islam teaches pedophilia. There's a lot of pedophilia in a lot of these religions that have gotten off what the Holy Scriptures actually say. So we shouldn't be surprised by the fruit that it brings. I think you bring up a really, really interesting point when you talk about how the media tries to make it sound like this is only targeting the poor sections of England, when actually it's targeting middle class, upper class. It's basically infested throughout your culture. Talk a little bit more about that, about just because maybe some people may not understand how bad it is in the UK with how much satanic pedophiles are affecting your culture.
It is absolutely massive, and I think it is literally done on purpose that the Muslim community are being targeted. They are being targeted by white extremists. They are being targeted. We've seen the racism from the 80s in this country. We've got over that. And I think that our government and our police think we don't want another black on white problem in this country again. I think the political correctness around it really does hurt some people that have been affected by it. Let's call it for what it is. It is in the scriptures, and it is, to be the best Muslim on the planet, you have to follow the practice and teaching of Muhammad. We can't deny that. Let's just call it what it is, and it will help bridge our communities, because there are some decent Muslims that are speaking out, but the voices aren't being heard. They're just not being heard. To the extent of what is going on, we now have 72 towns in our small country, 72 towns, and in one of the towns called Rotherham, 1,400 girls raped. Oh. One of these girls I talked to on Twitter, it really upsets me. One of these girls I talked to, she stopped counting at 32. I mean, men, one after the other. They was lining up on the stairs, just dropped the money outside the bedroom. They wouldn't let her have a pee. They wouldn't let her get up from the bed. She was covered in nearly 30 men's different semen. They just did anything they want, just drop the money at the door. When you're a victim of rape or grooming individually, if a priest attacks you, there is so much problems in the Catholic priests. It breaks my heart when I hear these stories, but I can't imagine 30 men. Well, she stopped counting at 30. I can't imagine one after the other. Normally with the Catholic priesthood, it's maybe one or two that are doing it, and they grab them at the opportune moment. But these poor girls, we need to be talking about how disgusting it is. It is human trafficking. Some of these girls are being shipped from all over the country. They don't even know where they are half the time. And this is why I wanted to talk about Tommy. Tommy's cousin, Tommy Robinson's cousin, was a victim of this grooming gang. She was hooked on drugs, so she kept on going back to her offenders. And one day she was roaming the streets half naked. The police picked her up. She told them what had gone on. They arrested her for being drunk and disorderly at 14 years old. Now, a lot of people say Tommy's a racist. He doesn't look any further than the Muslims. But I can't blame the chap. It's not just a narrative for him. It's a mission. It's a mission. If I'd ask anybody, if that happened to your family member, wouldn't you make that a mission in your life to let everyone know about it? He's not picking on Muslims. He's not. He's just highlighting a problem. He's not racist. He's not. And he is literally the bogeyman of this country. He's just vilified everywhere. I mean, personally, I would wish he'd talk about the Catholic problem. I wish he'd talk about the Freemasons, especially the Scottish Freemason problem we have, the celebrities, the politicians. But I cannot judge that person because his family has gone through something horrendous, and he probably can't see past what's happened to his family. And I wish people would look at him instead of saying, oh, he's a racist, you know, scum of the earth, you know, things like that. I wish people would look at him and think, he's been through something. But that's how the media, like the Mockingbird media, just like to label people. Racist is just the easiest thing to label things, just to shut everything down. We've got our version of Antifa here. They troll Tommy, his family, his friends, anybody who supports him. We have people that have been fired from the armed services. Firefighters have been fired from their job by supporting Tommy Robinson openly on Facebook. Our freedom of speech is gone in this country. It has gone, and we're getting more of a more totalitarian state. We're the most monitored country in the world, bar China. What they're doing to suppress speech, if you don't say what they want you to say, or you don't swallow the BBC News. I mean, personally, I've not watched television for years now. I get all my news from YouTube. But if you don't follow their narrative, you know, you can lose your job. You could lose your job. Sometimes people have been threatened to take the kids off them for having the wrong political opinion in this country. And it's happening. It's scary happening. So that's pretty much why I've got to be careful what I say as well.
Right. So let's direct the conversation toward Theresa May and Melanie Shaw and this whole situation. I want you to just spend as much time as you want now talking about the head of the beast there in England.
Head of the beast, Theresa May. Theresa May, when she actually became Prime Minister, slapped a D notice on any research into her family and her father. You can't find it in this country. You type his name in, you can't find it. It's literally silence. But with the beautiful internet, that we can actually I'm in communication with people from Australia that send me 60 minutes about our paedophiles in Parliament. They're allowed to talk about our paedophiles in Australia, but we're not allowed to hear it over here. So if the World Wide Web has really opened up so many doors for people to tell others what is going on. With Theresa, not only did we not allow to find out about her father, who was a priest in the Diocese of Chichester in London. That diocese has links to a notorious paedophile called Warwick Spinks. I speak to a victim of Warwick Spinks quite often on Twitter, and he has named Theresa May's father as one of his abusers. He's mentioned it to me. He won't mention it publicly, but he will mention Warwick Spinks, which is related to, he has got so many attachments all around the country. Alistair Crawley, he's got links to Jimmy Savile, he's got links to Amsterdam, and there's a lot of world child trafficking going on with that one person. That one person puts together the government, Theresa May's father, politicians, lords, anywhere you just look into YouTube and type in Warwick spinks, it will lead you to nearly every single paedophile known in this country, even the Krays. Have you heard of the Kray brothers?
No.
Now, the Kray brothers are like our version of, I don't know. They're the big gangsters. The two brothers, big gangsters in the country. They pretty much run the country. There was big Bilderbergers, Freemasons. They run drugs, guns, everything. Like Al Capone, Britain's version of Al Capone. Yeah. And these people are linked to the royal family. They are linked to the people of the House of Lords, celebrities. Cliff Richard, for example. Lord Boothby. Sorry, I've gone off on a tangent there. But yeah, Warwick Spinks is linked all around. Specifically looking at Theresa May. Like I said before with Brexit, is she being treasonous by not letting the government and the monarchy fall? I don't know if the monarchy will fall completely, but what we have in front of us is satanic. There is evidence everywhere. I mean, I know you particularly don't like David Icke, but David Icke has talked to a lot of people that have mentioned the royal family. I won't touch on lizards, don't worry.
Well, yeah, and has a lot of truth. The only problem I have with David Icke is just that he doesn't have a biblical foundation, and so he goes off into this whole thing about how Yahweh is an evil archon, which is completely wrong. But I do acknowledge, in fact, I did a story, I don't know if you saw it, where I did a full story on the child sex trafficking going on in British Columbia, and how that's to your queen, the queen, who's a pedivore and pedophile, and also some stories related to that. I wanted to ask you more about Theresa May and the links between her and Melanie Shaw.
There's no absolute direct link to Theresa May and Melanie Shaw, other than that when she was Home Secretary, she covered up every single child abuse inquiry. And then when she was made Prime Minister, she was told she was the head and she had to appoint people to cover the children's homes, the abuse inquiries, different operations. Now, Nottinghamshire, where Melanie Shaw comes from, I think there was about 30-ish or so homes, children's homes. Out of them, 20 of them have got a D notice on them. You can't find them. You can't Google them. You can't research them. These people have been paid off. The victims have been paid off. If they don't get paid off, Melanie never took that payment. She refused. Other victims wanted to take hundreds of thousands of pounds in compensation, and they was made to sign a declaration. And that declaration says if they open their mouth about their abusers, they will get sent to prison straight away under national security. Melanie Shaw never took that money. That's what makes her so dangerous to the political establishment. Now, if you go through her YouTube videos where she's actually mentioned, she has named politicians that are still in Parliament. She's accused them. She's accused Prince Andrew. She definitely accused Edward Heath. And she was very public about it. Now, with a lot of the victims that don't take any compensation from the government and help them cover up these names, they are big problems to them and they get harassed. Melanie had her children taken off her. She lost her home. She couldn't be employed. Now, this poor woman has seen satanic ritual abuse. She's seen murders of babies. She's seen murders of her own friends. She has been through the worst thing ever that humanly imaginable, what she says she's been through. And with her not taking this money, it's big business. She's been hounded. She's been She's been through secret courts. She's been arrested on something trumped up, completely false, imprisoned on it, but the confinement on her own,
Right.
complete in isolation from the rest of the world.
Solitary confinement. Yeah.
Yeah. She's completely isolated from the rest of the world. Now, the movement on the Tommy Robinson side, since he's been made a political prisoner by the establishment more than once, people are waking up. People are looking, well, if they can do that to him, who else have they done that to? So there's a lot of the country waking up to Melanie Shaw. Melanie Shaw, even Tommy Robinson outside the court had a picture of her, which I think is brilliant, because I want him to move to that direction. I want him maybe to just lose the grooming gang issue and focus more on the establishment. This man is a hero to a lot of the working classes in this country. He could do amazing, amazing things by reaching and going further higher, like I did, just reach further up. Melanie Shaw needs help. Apparently she set fire to a prison cell. She's not of sound mind, but this poor girl has been through the worst kind of torture. You can't expect anybody to have a rational brain or not have some personality disorders. I think that's how they do it, though, with the ritual abuse, with like the MK Ultra, you know, sort of dividing the mind, splitting the mind for dissociation and creating different personalities, which would unstable the person, which is happening in Melanie's case. I really do hope that Melanie does come out soon. Everything's denoticed, everything's gagged, and we're not hearing about it, but more people are talking about it, and that's what we really need. We need her name should be on everybody's lips when we're talking about establishment problems. She knows about ex-prime ministers, royal families, celebrities. She names them all. She's not afraid to. And there is another person who went into the same home as Melanie. He's called Mickey Summers, and he is another person that is extremely open. At the moment, we are having a massive inquiry into these children's homes that are happening this month, and the main people that have come forward, Melanie Shaw's not been able to have her say. Neither is Mickey Summers. With the other ones, Richard Kerr, he speaks very openly. There is so many victims that I speak openly, like Melanie, are not allowed for, say, they used to be a drug user. My gosh, if I'd gone through what they'd through, maybe I'd want to go through, you know, just eradicate anything so I didn't have to remember them violent things. People cope with different things, but, you know, just because someone used to be an alcoholic or a drug user doesn't mean that their voice and what they've been through is any less meaningless. But that's what that country does. They will not let you, if you've got a criminal record, you can't voice your opinion on an inquiry, whether you've been through child abuse or not. And that's another thing about Melanie. She did go through drug abuse. She's clean. She had been clean for years. But it's really good to smear someone's character. I can't blame these people for turning to drugs, because I wish they'd turn to the church.
Yeah. You know, Fiona Barnett, David Schroeder, a lot of these guys talk about the same thing with this MK mind control, how it divides the personalities and then not only that, but then what you're talking about, where some of the victims, SRA victims, then accept this bribe, this money, and wind up flipping to help these satanic pedophiles, which causes a huge problem, because now you're undermining the whole credibility of the legitimate SRA survivors like Melanie, who refuse the money and are trying to speak out. I know, in fact, I just talked to David right when I was leaving a couple weeks ago from Anchorage, where he was saying he was so frustrated because he and Fiona feel like they put their necks out so much, and yet there's so many others who either aren't willing to do that, or they're starting to help the bad side. Because a lot of people don't understand. So all these people, yes, they were once SRA victims themselves in most cases, but you still have a choice. You can either choose to overcome that through Messiah and get on the good side, or you can choose to give in and basically become part of the evil yourself. And so it's really amazing that Melanie Shaw rejected that huge sum of money and now is going through. And yeah, I hope that Tommy Robinson can use his weight in your culture to put pressure and get Melanie out of there so she can find healing and it's like I see how there's like these two problems now in the UK. You got the Muslim gang raping, gang stalking, grooming type thing that's going on that a lot of people know about because of the news. But then you have your establishment that's all through your government that is even worse in allowing this culture to continue to flourish because of their satanic pedophilism. So I know you said that there's not a direct link between Melanie Shaw and Theresa May, but you have talked about how Theresa May has obviously turned her back on so many different cases, including Melanie Shaw and others, that of satanic pedophilism that's going on, and she's not doing anything about it. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Okay, yeah. Theresa May was head of the inquiry. She was the one who had to put somebody in place, someone in panel to literally explore and investigate all these different care homes, all these different problems, even the grooming gangs. The first person that she put forward for this inquiry ended up having to leave in 2 days because she had direct link to one of the paedophiles that had abused the children. It might be very difficult in Parliament to find someone who does not have links to a paedophile. Right. But the second person, exactly the same story. Leon Britton, a well-known politician in this country, he's deceased. His name has come up a lot over the last few years. She employed somebody who went to have meals. They lived on the same street. They used to socialise together. And then she got Lowell Goddard from New Zealand. She barely did anything. She was gagged. She was saying, no, you can't unzip that file. No, you can't look at this. No, you can't say this. And there's a lot of witness testimonies about this inquiry that they were made to shut up. The threat of what these people can do to others is very scary. Even if you, I think she was cut from Join the Dot. She was part of a charity. She got her charity closed down. She was attacked on a personal level, and she was there to help. She was honestly there to help the inquiry. But everyone who's tried to get anywhere near to exposing these issues gets slammed down and shut up. And I'm not too sure if it may be a tactic that she's using, maybe to put some history and some distance in time so people will forget. People are not going to forget. People will not forget. As long as I'm living, I will make sure people will not forget. Now we're talking about Melanie Shaw, which is amazing. I really hope that Tommy takes it on and takes a look. I'd gladly open a conversation with him and tell him exactly the problems in our establishment. But yeah, nobody can get near. You're either paid off, gagged, and threatened with prison. Or if you don't take the money, you are, like Melanie Shaw, tormented. Have your children taken away. Have your home strip everything out of your life worth meaning. And then if you carry on, they'll persist. They arrest you on stupid charges, put you in a secret court, and slam you in isolation for 2 years. Not only are they doing that, but they are making Melanie, with the community that I speak to, people are frightened. People are so frightened. Theresa May is using Melanie Shaw, said, look, this is what can happen to you. She's been used as an example to silence people as well. Yeah. She has a lot to account for, just Theresa May in this country, 100%. Yeah. And going back to the Brexit as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it's the satanic pedophiles who not only got England to become part of the European Union, but it's the satanic pedophiles who are coming against Brexit. There is, though, an interesting scripture where it talks about in the book of Daniel that in the last days, the clay and the metal, they can't stick, things start breaking apart. So I do think Brexit is part of that stuff breaking apart, and that it will eventually occur. But you're right. I mean, there's a huge fight ahead of us with the satanic pedophiliism. I want to kind of bring things back because we're getting sort of toward the end of the hour here. I want to bring things back toward what you mentioned at the beginning, because I think it's very important, and I think it will end things on a very positive note. When you said that, you went through this horrific experience where you very nearly become a full-fledged SRA victim yourself, brutally raped by these Muslims, who, by the way, guys, remember, the Vatican started Islam. The Vatican started Islam in the 6th century. That's what happened. So you take down the Vatican and all their child sex trafficking, you take down Islam and all their pedophilia that's in there. But Yah miraculously delivered you, woke you up, protected you, saved you. You got out of that situation. And now, because of what you went through, it woke you up and has caused you to now basically devote your life to this. And I was talking about this yesterday about Romans 8:28, how God works all things, even the most horrific things, for our good, for those who are called according to his purposes and who really love him. So I want to say, first of all, thank you for starting off the video with that and thanking and being so grateful to Yah about your deliverance. And just want to ask you if you could just end the interview by letting me know and letting the audience know, what are some of the practical things? I know that you're wanting awareness to grow, and that's why you're doing this interview, but what are some of the other practical things that people in UK in particular can do to help with this horrific problem?
Go on YouTube. I want people to go on YouTube and type in somewhere called Elm Guest House. This is the honey bee. This is the centre of Westminster child abuse, historic. And you can link Elm Guest House and Dolphin Square, where these politicians still have parties, still have children delivered to them by maybe these Muslim grooming gangs. Maybe they're the ones that are trafficking these children. But it's still going on. Elm Guest House has been talked about, its links. As soon as you get into Elm Guest House, it's addictive to actually think, oh my gosh, this really did go on. It is still going on. And go to YouTube, Dolphin Square, Elm Guest House, Sun Seeing Satan, which is an hour-long documentary about what happened in Jersey to a children's home called Haute de la Garenne, which links Ted Heath. Everything will open doors. As soon as you start looking at, you put SRA in YouTube, just watch some of these videos and see where it takes you. Type in Melanie Shaw. Melanie Shaw has a few videos she's posted herself, and she's naming these people. I'm not going to name them, but go and look and see who she names, and then link it yourself. With Brexit, what I said, and I will 100% stand by what I said about Brexit, about it was blackmail then, it's blackmail now. And I want people to look at who is coming out of the woodworks now, politicians that are coming out of the woodwork now to save their own skin. They're coming out fast and thick. All these politicians, go and look. YouTube is such an excellent source of information where other truthers have put other clips together and help you piece that big jigsaw puzzle together. I just really want people to go to YouTube and just type in what I've mentioned, Melanie Shaw. It will link you, and the world out there is so big. I just want to wake people up and just look at these things, and it literally is like a spider, like a spider's web. It just goes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, the network, and then you find yourself in international waters. The Scottish Freemasonry, there's loads of documentaries about them, which affects a lot of there's a lot of Freemasonry, especially with Fiona Barnett in Australia, Canada. the Freemasons have got a lot to answer for in this country, and they literally have like spread out like a spider's web across the globe. Yeah,
Absolutely.
probably, yeah.
What is the, for the audience, what is the name of your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel, I haven't actually put any videos out myself. You could find me under Rose English.
Okay. You don't have
type in Rose English, and maybe I'll send you the link later, Daniel, and then you can put it in.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link, and just have a look on my playlist.
Why don't we do this? Okay, so you have playlists, so you have a lot of resources.
I have playlists, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, when we're done with the interview, because I usually upload these things pretty quickly right after the interview, go ahead and email me or by Twitter, send me not only a link to your playlist or to your YouTube channel, but also kind of just a few of those searches that you've done. Just maybe send me a couple of those videos as well, just so I can get people started in the right direction. Because guys, what she's saying is absolutely true. The more the public is aware of this, the greater the pressure will be on these bad guys, and the more help it will be to those who are fighting against the swamp, like President Trump and others that are scattered across the world right now. So that is a huge thing that we can do, is to try to make the public as aware as possible of what's happening. So in conclusion, Rose, first of all, thank you so much for giving your time and talking about this. I think I might even want to have you on again, just because there's so much involved in this, and so
there
much
is
that's got to be uncovered. Is there any way that people can, because I know here in the United States, even when people are in solitary confinement, you can usually write letters or get things. Is there any way people can send messages to Melanie Shaw to encourage her? Will it get to her or no?
Absolutely. There is a Facebook group. Just type in Melanie Shaw, and the support page is there. There is a big community of people. Her address in prison is there. You can only send letters and cards, but anything to just give this woman a bit of hope that people on the outside are thinking of her.
Absolutely. Yeah. And guys, that is true religion, to visit people in jail, to help the widows and orphans. And if you can't visit her because she's under lock and key, you can definitely send her a letter. So, okay, why don't you go ahead and post that or send me that Facebook group as well. And I'll put that, I'll put that as a link as well under the video. So, hallelujah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Rose. And guys, we have to keep praying about this issue, because as you can see, it's not just, and I know a lot of you probably know this, it's not just in the United States, but it's probably even more so pervasive in England and in the UK. And like I said, I'm going to have Rose on again in the future. I'll be having also Angela on Sunday, where she'll give even another perspective, because she's been specifically investigating and working on the whole Hampstead case, which we haven't even touched on in this interview.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother just horrible thing that's going on.
Yes.
In the UK.
I am fully aware of the Hampstead case, and there is a lot more as well. I'm happy to come back and talk about Hampstead. There was a satanic panic in the 80s in this country, which happened a lot. And it was covered up as satanic panic. And I just want to say, the Prime Minister of Australia acknowledging satanic ritual abuse it is groundbreaking. Let's get this on everybody's lips. Let's get people talking. This does happen. Take the blinkers off. Take things out your ears. Listen, it is going on. It's a horrible thing to even think about. Don't shut your mind to it. You're hiding it just by not speaking. But yeah, Fiona Barnett, lovely, lovely lady. And Angela Power Disney as well. She's amazing. What she's been through personally.
Thank you. For some reason, I always switch the Disney and the Power. I don't know why. I know her well. We've prayed together several times, but yes, thank you for helping me that. And yeah, she is wonderful, as well as Fiona and Rose. I know we'll definitely add you to our prayer list since you're on the front lines out there in the UK. We'll be praying for you, for your protection, and that Yah continues to lift you up and help you do what you need to do there to make the public more aware.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And definitely leave your comments below. Again, please, as I remind with everyone, I'm pretty lax on comments on other videos, but when it comes to videos where I'm interviewing my guests, I'm a little bit more strict, so please be very respectful. If you're having a bad day, just don't comment, okay? Uh, so I will post some more videos later today, guys. This is my first full day in the ministry without working my regular full-time job, but I'm having to deal with a lot of logistics these next couple of days because I'm about to fly down to Southern California, and I'm having to rearrange everything because this is a brand new lifestyle for me now, doing a full-time ministry. So just bear with me. And Rose, once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.